As I'm stood in front of a bookshelf and you have obviously seen the title of the video, you probably can guess what this is. I've had a few people ask me about doing a bookshelf tour. Becky was one of them, so I hope this is everything you wanted in life. No, I actually am quite excited to do this. It's nice to be able to share the books that I have with people because people don't really understand why I need so many. Yeah, I'm going to do a bookshelf tour and I hope that it's not too boring and I don't literally bore the absolute crap out of you. People wanted it, so hey, bookshelf tour, woo! On the top shelf, Divergent series by Veronica Roth is actually hiding a guilty secret. Don't judge me, don't judge me. Everyone remembers what it's like to be 14 and obsessed with something. And it just so happens to be that the thing that I was obsessed with might have been Twilight. I have lots of copies of the same book, but doesn't. I had to have them. I had to have them. I was 14 and you know, they released them in white, which I just had to buy, and then they released the movie ones, which I just had to have. I had to have. It had their faces on, paperback and hard. Yeah, I know I wasn't. Yeah. You can actually see where I lost interest because I don't have the movie versions of Breaking Dawn, because I just didn't give a fuck. So yes, the first shelf of my bookshelf is just Twilight books, which some of them do need to be put back in storage. I'm sure you know what the Twilight series is. It's by Stephanie Meyer and it's vampires. Next we have the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. If you've seen any of my book review videos, you will know that I really like this series. The first one was Divergent, then Insurgent, then Allegiant, and it really irritates me because I've got this cover of Divergent in paperback. My mother then bought a different version of Insurgent, so it's all odd. It's all odd. And then this one's in hardback. This one's in hardback. So they're all different. And I don't like it. It's set in the future and it is about a girl called Beatrice, and when you are 16 you have to go through a series of initiations and you are chosen which faction, there are 5, that you will be put into, and then you have to do initiation tests to become a part of that faction. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that, but I definitely think that you should read these, so yeah. Next we have the second shelf of my bookshelf. Little friend sofa which I got from New York, which I think is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to talk about these. The Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. These books are absolutely wonderful, they are amazing. They are about these people called shadow hunters that hunt demons, and it's the story of a girl called Clary Frey. You should definitely read The Mortal Instruments. There are 6 books in the series. The 6th one comes out in March. Are you excited? Because I am. Oh, I don't know what to do with my life after that book comes out, but we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. Next we have the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. I'm sure everyone is very aware of the Hunger Games. This is again set in the future and it is where they live in districts, and 2 people from each district every year is reaped and then put into a televised game where they have to fight to the death. Next on my shelf I have Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. That shows how much I care about the book because yeah, I read this and didn't really like it. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but the film came out and I don't particularly like watching the film before reading the book, so I bought the book and I didn't think it was very good. I then have a bunch of little random books. I've got Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, which is really short, and I read it when I was about 15. It's a really good book, I really like it. Could be potentially triggering. It's about a girl that's been raped. So yeah, it's like read with caution. But it is very good and I did enjoy it. It's very well written and I really like her books actually. I bought another book of hers on my Kindle called Winter Girls, which is also a very fantastic book. I then have Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. I absolutely love this book. I did a project on it for my A-level English literature where we had to take a book and then write our own sort of like fan fiction kind of. It was like creative writing about the book. It's about a guy called Jacob Jankowski, who runs away and joins the circus. He joins the Benzini brothers. Next on my shelf I have On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I have this book twice and had to be stopped from buying it a third time because it is in there in my top 5 favourite books ever. I absolutely fell in love with this book. I read it when I was 13 and it just made me want to get in a car and drive. Read it, just read it, read it. On this end of the shelf we have The Host, which is also by Stephanie Meyer. I prefer The Host to Twilight. This is about like, they have all these souls are like replacing, they're being put into humans to replace like all the evil and bad things that are on the planet, and it's really, really good. This is also a film that came out this year, which I would definitely recommend that you watched, and I would also definitely recommend that you read the book. Have these books. I had to read these for A-level philosophy because for some reason I took that subject. Don't know why. The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. I didn't read this. I couldn't be bothered. But I did read these two. The Shack by W.M. Paul Young, which is amazing. I started reading it again and then I bought Dr. Sleep. But this is about a man whose little girl goes missing and they never find her, and he meets with God in this shack, and it's sad and it's tragedy, but I was crying and I thought it was amazing, and I absolutely loved reading this book. And the other one was 90 Minutes in Heaven by Don Piper, and this is based on a true story, I think. Yeah, it is. And he's in a car accident. He's declared dead for 90 minutes, and there's a priest praying for him on the side of the road, and he goes into heaven. He spends this time in heaven, and then he does come back and he's resuscitated. He talks about his time in heaven, and I don't know if I particularly believe that it was heaven as we would think of heaven, or whatever was going on in his mind, but I do think it's a really good book, and again, it doesn't take very long to read, but I did enjoy it. Next on my shelf is what I like to call the classics. On here I have the entire works of William Shakespeare. I have these, which is sort of like, which I got when I was about 10, which is like little stories for Shakespeare. I have The Reader by Bernard Schlink. I haven't read this, I got given this by somebody that I used to work with. I haven't read it yet, but he told me it was really good, so I feel like I should. I also have Charles Dickens, Great Expectations, Christmas Carol. I have a bit of Bronte. I got these really, really nice copies of Jane Austen books for Christmas one year because I absolutely love the classics, as you can tell. They are some of my favourite books, and I love reading Jane Austen. I got Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Emma and Mansfield Park, and then these books on the end here are Hilary Duff Elixir, Face by Benjamin Zephaniah, Dan Brown, Angels and Demons, Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, and Meg Cabot's Abandoned and Underworld. I did a book haul because those are books that I've bought recently, and I will link you to the book haul because there's no point me talking about what they're all about when you can just go watch that video, because I'll go into a lot more detail about them in the video. And then we have the last two shelves. We have the Harry Potter collection by J.K. Rowling. I'm sure many people know about those, even if you haven't read them. I can't really say anything else other than you should read them. I also have these series, the Consequences series by Laurie Depp. They all sort of tie in with each other. I bought these when I was about 12. I've then got Anger, Songs and Perfect Snogging by Louise Renison, which is absolutely wonderful. There's Vampire Academy book by Rochelle Mead. I've only ever read the first one. It was really good, so I feel like I should read the other ones. Then I've got Private Peaceful by Michael Morpurgo. This was one of my favourite books when I was a kid. I read this in year 7, so I was 11. It's about war. There are some very sad moments, but it's absolutely wonderful. I then have Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, which is absolutely wonderful, and it is about a boy called Charlie, and he starts high school, and it's sort of like the friends that he meets and the people that he meets and stuff. The book is one of the best things that I've ever read. It's definitely in my top 10 favourites, and I cried a lot, and I definitely recommend it. And then next I have, it's kind of a funny story, which I also talked about in my book haul, but it's just about a guy who tries to commit suicide, so he's put into a psychiatric hospital. I then have a few John Steinbeck books. I have Of Mice and Men. It is a really good book and I did really enjoy it. I also have another John Steinbeck book, East of Eden, which is very, very big and did take me a while to read, but I did really like it, and I would recommend John Steinbeck's books because he is really good. I then have Stephen King's The Shining, which is one of my all-time favourite books. It is sort of like a horror, but I really, really do enjoy it. And then more recently, a book that I bought was Doctor Sleep by Stephen King, which is the sequel. And this is, I've been reading it at the moment and it's absolutely fantastic. I recommend both of these books, they are so good. This shelf is the shelf that was sort of like young me's shelf. It consists of Jacqueline Wilson books, which were the first sort of like more adult books that I ever read. Love Lessons I read when I was still in primary school, so I was about 10, and it is about a girl who's always been homeschooled, but she goes to another school, and it's not really an affair, but she likes her art teacher and he sort of gets a little bit too involved. And I was 10 when I read this, and I remember it sort of being the first like more adult book that I ever read, but it was good because it wasn't too much, so it was sort of like a transition into more adult book. One of my favourite books by Jacqueline Wilson though is Candy Floss. This continues to this day to be one of my top 10 favourite books. I don't know why, there was just something about it that absolutely struck a chord in me, and I absolutely love this book. And then I've got other Jacqueline Wilson's books like Kiss and Sleepovers, Bad Girls, Illustrated Mum, Tracy Beaker, The Suitcase Kid. I definitely, if you are younger and want to venture into sort of like a little bit older books, I would definitely recommend Jacqueline Wilson books because they are really good. I have the entire collections of Roald Dahl because who doesn't? His books are absolutely insane but just absolutely wonderful at the same time. I also have these, which is they were called My Story, and I got them in year 7, and they were they're sort of like historical facts but put into like fictional novels. So they're like diaries of people that were like the plague and the Titanic and Anne Boleyn and the Blitz and like Tudors, but they were really good because they were like a fun way to know, like to learn things about what was happening. And then I've also got My Secret Unicorn. I don't clear my bookshelf off like at all, which I read these when I was like 6 and 7. The shelf at the very bottom is things like Twilight official movie guides and Twilight journals and the Twilight Saga official guide because I just had to have them. So that was my bookshelf. I hope that the people that wanted to see my bookshelf aren't too disappointed. If you like this video though, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to go check out the rest of my videos, I'll put my book haul in the description, and you like them then feel free to subscribe because that would really, 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 really help me out, and yeah, that would be amazing if you did that. I hope that you liked this video and it wasn't too boring and you at least found a book that maybe you'd want to read. If you did, then let me know in the comments below. Okay! I hope this was alright, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye!